Teamwork, Getting Started, Part 2. In Part 1 of this video, we went over the 4 stages of team development: forming, storming, norming, and performing. We also discussed how some teams get bogged down in the storming and norming stages. Now in Part 2, we're going to talk about how you can help move your team from the forming stage to the performing stage more quickly. There are 3 things that you can do right from the beginning of your project. Be action-oriented, be a good team member, and run meetings effectively. Be action-oriented. So your team comes together for the first time, and you have your task. The goal seems a long way off. How are you going to get there? Well, there's no other way around it. Hard work. But that work is less stressful, more doable, if you take a lot of little steps. You're going to have meetings, and you're going to work independently. But the key to success is you need to work independently between every meeting. Have a meeting, work independently. Have a meeting, work independently. In this meeting here, you already need to think about your next meeting over here. When is it? What will each team member do before the next meeting? The most important point is, when you work independently, do what you said you were going to do. The problem? Don't we all sometimes overpromise in this meeting? I'll do this and I'll do that and I'll do this and it'll be really, really great. But when we get to this meeting, we underdeliver. We didn't do any of it. So how can you avoid overpromising and underdelivering? The key? Focus on one task. The task can be simple, 20 to 30 minutes, or it can be more complex, whatever your team agrees to. But do one task and one task only. Do it really well and do it on time. Now, on time means the deadline that you and your team agreed to, usually the next meeting. If all team members are reliable and do what they said they were going to do, then 4 tasks would already be complete by the second meeting. So now you're in your next meeting. Now you need to show what you did. Each team member takes turns giving a 2-minute report. What did you do? What did you find out? What problems did you find? Then, just before the end of your meeting, say what you will do next. Go around the table again. What will you do? When will it be done? Okay, so you need to be action-oriented, taking little steps to achieve your objective, working independently between each meeting. But for this to work, you need to be a good team member. In fact, everyone needs to be a good team member. There are several topics that could be discussed here, but let's talk about just 3. Be committed to the team, be professional, and be a collaborative leader. Be committed to the team. First, recognize that a team has several benefits: diverse viewpoints, complementary skills, shared workload. Sometimes people think that they would be better off doing a project on their own, but some projects are just too big, too complex, too important. If you listen to diverse viewpoints, you can find the best solutions. Complementary skills? I think we sometimes fail to recognize that different team members make different types of contributions. Some team members are great at time management, keeping the team on schedule. Other team members are great at ensuring team harmony, de-escalating conflicts. Other team members have important technical skills. The key is that these complementary skills make the team stronger. Lastly, shared workload. Obviously, dividing a large task into parts makes the task much easier, especially if you take advantage of each team member's strengths. But what about conflict? Yes, teams have conflict, but conflict does not always have to be bad. Conflict can sometimes push the team to better results. Stay committed to the team. Attend meetings. Participate fully. Engage in discussions. You're going to have to work in teams in business. You need to start learning teamwork skills now. Next, be professional. Now, this is a bit of a hodgepodge topic, but I think we all know unprofessionalism when we see it. Don't insult people. Don't storm out of meetings or disappear. This is unacceptable, unprofessional. So be civil. Treat people with respect. No harassment or bullying or insults. Be reliable. Do what you said you were going to do. Be punctual. Arrive at meetings on time. Complete your tasks on time. And be present. Don't fall asleep or daydream during meetings. Pay attention. Be active. Participate. Consistency in all of these things leads to a strong professional reputation. Start working to build that reputation now. Next, be a collaborative leader. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, I love this quote from the book Leadership Through People Skills. Be tough with problems, but be warm with people. The key point, when you see a problem, don't ignore it. At the same time, always treat people with respect. Let me add to that. In the book When Teams Work Best, the authors, LaFasto and Larson, analyzed 15,000 team member evaluations. What makes a good team member, they asked. They found that successful team members shared 4 characteristics. First, openness. Willing to discuss difficult topics, express honest opinions. Also, willing to listen to others without responding defensively. Second, supportiveness. Always willing to help everyone out, committed to the team's success. Third, action orientation. Energetic, lots of ideas, well organized, takes actions. And fourth, positive personal style. Friendly, gets along well with everyone. Collaborative leaders have balance. They take actions, but they also maintain relationships. And collaborative leaders get great results. So, be committed to your team. You need your team. The project's too big and too complex to do on your own. Be professional. Be reliable. Be punctual. Be civil. And be a collaborative leader. Be tough with problems, but warm with people. Okay, so your team is action-oriented. You're taking little steps and moving towards your objective. And each team member is a great team member. You're all committed to the team, professional, and you're all collaborative leaders. Now what? Well, one thing you'll notice is you have a lot of meetings. You need to be able to run those meetings effectively. Now, this is a huge topic. You do so many things in meetings. Generating ideas, making decisions, delegating responsibilities, giving feedback, managing conflict. And you need a lot of different skills, leadership skills, negotiation skills, time management skills, presentation skills. But in this video, I'm going to focus on habits for starting and ending your meetings. And my focus is on this first meeting right here. Your team needs to form good habits, and those habits are pretty simple. Set up the room, build relationships, discuss the objective, and discuss expectations. So at your first meeting, set up the room. Move tables and chairs so that you can communicate easily. Set up any equipment that you need. A good room setup is necessary for good communication. Next, build relationships. Spend several minutes getting to know each other. Go around the table, introduce yourself. If you build good relationships now, you will be able to have more open communication later. Also, make sure you exchange contact information and discuss how you plan to communicate during the project. Email, text messages, Google Docs, Facebook. You need to be able to contact each other between meetings. Now, you're ready to discuss the objective. Look at the assignment sheet. When is the project due? What do you have to produce? What are the requirements? What relevant information has been provided? What information do you need to find out? Now, you could spend an hour answering all of these questions, but right at the beginning of your first meeting, you should probably only take 5 minutes and look at these first 2 questions here, because you also need to move on to the next point, which is discuss your expectations. It doesn't matter what your project is, whether you're doing a student project or a real work project. Team members always have different expectations. I want a good mark on this assignment, so let's put a lot of effort into this. To be honest, I'd like to get this assignment done as quickly as possible. I just need a pass. You can see that this team is well set up for a bit of conflict. And isn't it funny that we instantly jump to conclusions about people and give them a label? He's a slacker, isn't he? And she's a keener? We also rush to judgments. They're both going to be annoying to work with. But funny, a few well-placed questions and those labels start to fade. Why? I have a part-time job. I have to pay my tuition. I'm applying for a scholarship. I need an 85% average. Isn't it interesting that people with very different positions sometimes both have similar interests? They're both trying to pay for school. I don't think we've solved the problem yet, but I think everyone is feeling a bit more empathy. The discussion needs to continue. How much time can we each put into this project? I can meet on Wednesdays at 2:30 for a couple of hours. Wednesdays are fine, but I'd have to leave by 4 o'clock. I have a part-time job. Can we start at 2:40 instead? I'll have to get a coffee. Okay, so we're going to meet on Wednesdays from 2:40 to 4 o'clock. That's only 80 minutes. We'll need to be efficient. Yes, let's stay on topic. No goofing around. I think we should prepare for the meetings. Now, a lot of times these expectations are formalized in a team charter. A team charter serves as kind of like a written contract for the team. After discussing expectations, turn your focus onto the task. In that first meeting, you might go back to the objective and try to answer these other questions. What about ending the meeting? You need to discuss your expectations again. So this is your current meeting, then you're going to work independently, and then you have your next meeting. You need to decide, when is your next meeting? What will each team member do? Remember, each team member should focus on one task and do it well. Okay, so we've only talked about running the first meeting. What about all of the other meetings? Well, it's basically the same. Take the first 5 minutes of every meeting, set up the room, build relationships, discuss the objective, and discuss expectations. And then end the meeting by discussing your expectations again. What will each team member do before the next meeting? So, that's it. Let me conclude. How can you move your team from the forming stage to the performing stage quickly? Form good habits. Be action-oriented, be a good team member, and run meetings effectively.